everything from butcher plants to baseball. That's what we're going to talk about today here as we go down the road. But Jared Hendrix is the first to join us. Jared is a conservative activist, and he's someone who's taking the initiative to go out there and pass an initiative when it comes to term limits. Let's bring him in. Jared, good to have you coming down the road with us.
Thanks for having me on, Joel.
Describe to people what you're doing, because it appears that you're seeking the type of signatures that would look at term limits. Am I right about that, or what are you focusing on here?
Yes, that's correct. So we have a proposed constitutional measure that, if it passes, it would apply 2 4-year term limits to members of the North Dakota House, the North Dakota Senate, and the governor. And it would be on the ballot next year, likely in June. And so voters would have an opportunity to apply term limits on the most powerful positions in the state.
So why? Why are you doing this? Why the initiative? Is there a problem, or what are you doing?
Well, I think that, at least from my experience talking with grassroots people over the last really several years, but especially the last few months, I think things have kind of escalated on this front, where people believe that we need systemic change. They believe, for many different reasons, that the government doesn't represent them. I think a lot of this frustration is probably directed at Washington, D.C. more than Bismarck, but I think there's some frustration all around. And people want bold systemic change. They feel that the common person isn't represented by politics as usual, and so they want changes that structurally realign power back to the people, and that's what term limits do.
Jared, you're a conservative activist. You were active, and I think you ran the Kramer campaign, so you know what it's like to win an election. But as a conservative, if you look at the North Dakota legislature, let's use them as an example. You know, conservatives have won. I mean, you've got Republicans all over the place. You've got a supermajority in the House, and you've got a supermajority in the Senate. So what lies, I mean, where's the problem as a conservative? Or are they just simply, in your eyes, not conservative enough?
Yeah, I'd say 2 things to that. I think, number one, having a Republican majority is not the same thing as having a conservative majority. And I think most grassroots conservatives recognize that. And I think there is kind of a detachment between the party leadership and where most of the grassroots voters are. And so I think that there's that disconnect. But I mean, I also want to be clear that I don't think that term limits are a quote unquote conservative issue. I mean, term limits aren't limits on politicians, therefore they're limits on government. And so naturally conservatives would be attracted to them. But term limits, you know, our polling data shows, and as well as nationally, both in the state and nationally, that this issue is widespread popular across the political spectrum, Democrats, Republicans, independents. You know, this is an issue that I guess you could call it populist. It has appeal across the spectrum. So we think that it's not a wedge conservative issue. It's an issue with broad appeal. And frankly, those of different ideological persuasions could be empowered by this as well.
Jared, can you give me some examples? Because, excuse me, now a lot of people are looking at this thing. You've gotten their attention, and they're saying that, you just simply doing this and being a Republican doesn't mean you're necessarily conservative. And so can you give me some examples where you think the North Dakota legislature hasn't been conservative enough?
Sure. Well, we can start with the budget. We passed the biggest budget in the history of the state, and despite a super duper majority of Republicans, there's not one single tax relief bill for the working families in North Dakota, despite the fact that the state is sitting on tens of billions of dollars. I think that's a very good, probably the most obvious example. There's probably a few other more nuanced policy issues. But we've also had some big successes as well. But I think in general, though, this is more about where does the power reside? And, if anyone who's spent any time down in Bismarck knows that the lobbyists and the bureaucrats run the show. That's just the reality. It's not always malicious. Sometimes you have somebody has expertise in an issue, so naturally they're going to have influence. But we want to realign that power dramatically down to the grassroots level and back to the people.
Jared, there's a group of legislators out in Bismarck. They call themselves the Bastiat Caucus. And those individuals have really splintered the Republican Party, but yet they don't have any power. in terms of getting anything done. The Democrats throw in with the Republicans on many of these issues, and the caucus that I described, which is led by Representative Rick Becker, really hasn't been able to accomplish clearly what their goals are. Is that what this is about? Are they the individuals that are driving this and behind this?
No, I wouldn't say so, although I would question the premise that they haven't been effective. For a group that's ineffective, they seem to be getting a lot of media coverage of people saying they're not effective. It's kind of a funny thing, but no, I think they've shifted the debate dramatically, but again, this is not about that. I mean, we do have a lot of conservatives on our sponsoring committee, just because, again, naturally the issue of term limits, which is a limit on government power, will attract conservatives. But I think this issue has broad appeal with Democrats, independents, people across the board. Absolutely.
So does this go? I know the governor's included, the legislature's included. Does this include attorney generals, secretary of states, anyone who's elected in North Dakota?
No, it only includes the legislature and the governor. And the logic behind that is that those are essentially the two most powerful positions in the state. You have the people that write the laws, and then you have the individual who enforces the laws. All of those other positions, to some extent and the other, act on the laws as passed or as executed. As far as expanding term limits to those positions, I'm not opposed to that in the future, but we felt like it was a good starting point to start with those positions. It's pretty reflective of what we see in the presidency in terms of the governor, the chief executive having limits, and of course there's widespread support for members of Congress to have term limits. But as you know, Joel, there's a bit of a constitutional hurdle there because you have to amend the Constitution. So we might be a ways away from accomplishing that on the federal level. But in terms of the polling data and the support for the issue, 80% of Americans across the spectrum support term limits for Congress, about 82% favorability in North Dakota for the legislature term limits, as well as the governor. We're kind of an outlier in North Dakota, especially in the governor. There's 36 states that have term limits on the governor, and we don't have any term limits on the most powerful position in the state. So we're actually kind of an outlier on that issue.
So, excuse me, does this deal with the issue that South Dakota has? I want to make sure I understand this. So you might have said it earlier, but in South Dakota, what they're doing is they're terming out in the Senate, and then Senate members are running for the House. And then they term out there, and they run for the Senate. Does this take care of that?
Yeah, this is a little different. The way ours is written is, let's say you run in a district for the House seat, you could serve for 2 4-year terms, so that'd be 8 years. And then you could switch to the Senate in that same district, theoretically, and you could serve another up to 8 years if you're able to get elected. So you could serve a total of 16 years, but then you're capped lifetime service. You can't jump back and forth after that. So you can have 16 years of service in government, which I think is a long time. And I think most normal people see that as a long time. Sometimes when you talk to folks in the political circles in Bismarck, they act like, 16 years is not enough time to figure out how things work. But I think the people in North Dakota are a little bit smarter than that. I think they can figure it out pretty quick.
Well, I can tell you as somebody who served 14 years in the legislature, it is a long time. You're not going to find any argument with me on whether or not that 14 years was a long time. I was proud to serve. I enjoyed serving, but it seemed like I had served a long time. Ray Holmberg, a member of your party, a conservative, or really is he a conservative? Ray Holmberg heads up the Senate Appropriations Committee. That's about as powerful as you can get in the North Dakota legislature. He's been there since the mid-1970s. Is Ray Holmberg part of the problem? Because you mentioned budget and you mentioned how long people serve. Is this a piece of proposed language that's going to go into the North Dakota Constitution to get after Ray Holmberg?
No, it's not about any one person in that sense, but I would say, as an example, you have many people that are in there for a long period of time, and at that point, human nature takes hold. We have a small town North Dakota legislators across the state. We have relatively small districts. Most people know their legislator if they're active politically at all. And so you have good people to get started. But once you serve for such an extended period of time, it's just natural that human nature takes over. You get complacency. What we get for institutional knowledge, unfortunately, then becomes institutional inertia, where sometimes alternative views and ideas are not as well received because you get stagnation. And our system of government was never intended to be that. It was, if you read the writings of the founding fathers, it was intended to be flexible, to change to issues that emerge over time. And so you need to have those structural reforms in place. So no, it's not about any one person, but I do think that you incentivize sometimes the wrong things when you have someone in charge of a position like that for so long. Or look at redistricting, Joel. If you have someone who's in there for more than 10 years, they then have sort of a self-interested way in which they'll operate through the redistricting process. And that's something that I mean, most people are aware of the issues of gerrymandering. Now, you're never going to get rid of all of that. You're always going to have politicized redistricting. You're never going to get rid of that completely, but we should de-incentivize the personal self-interest.
Jared, have you taken a look, and it's clear what approach you're going to take, but have you taken a look at getting rid of their health insurance, their state paid for health insurance? Because to me, without placing something in the Constitution, that is going to force a lot of these legislators to pull out that are there simply for health insurance by their very own admission. Dwight Kiefert is one of the individuals that the people in District 24 are saying he's only there for his health insurance, and they're mad of how he voted on removing Representative Luke Simons from the chamber itself. So it's a two-pronged question, Jared. What about the health insurance? Is that a better route? And the second part is this an initiative that addresses the concern that the Bastiat caucus had about Luke Simons leaving?
So on the insurance, I think it's a valid issue to bring up. In fact, the treasurer of our campaign committee, who I'm sure you know, former Senator Joe Miller, we had discussions about this, and he's, of course, on board. He supports term limits. He term limited himself voluntarily. But he told me, frankly, in discussion, he said, I thought about going for a third term because of the insurance. I mean, he admitted that to me. So, and I would say that Joe is seen as a pretty conservative guy by most accounts. But even he thought about it that way, and he was very frank with me about that. So there are incentives there that could be maybe in the interest of that individual, not in the interest of their constituents. Now, I don't want to say that too strongly, because I think for the most part, most of our North Dakota legislators are people that sacrifice quite a bit to be there. They're not enriching themselves. I mean, you know that, Joel. You weren't getting rich when you were out in Bismarck. So I think I don't want to overstate that. As far as the Simon situation, I think that the people that again feel somewhat powerless to their voice in the legislature, I think that's a good example of that. You have a very big disconnect. I know when I've gone around the grassroots and I've talked to people the last few months, when I explained what happened in the Simon situation, the average person just thinks it's outrageous. Now, when you talk to people in the political class in Bismarck, you get a very different mindset. But again, there's a disconnect from where most of the people at the grassroots level are. And I think we saw that even during the live feed in the legislature that day. I think the average attendance is like 300 to 400 views on the legislative website every day, and that day was like 9,000. Yeah. So a lot of people were paying attention.
Yeah. Last one, I promise. That we're taking longer than what you had agreed to come on with me, but 31,164 signatures is a lot of signatures. Are you going to be able to accomplish that?
I believe we will, yes. There is a bit of a labor shortage in North Dakota. We're trying to hire people to get some of the signature work done. So it's a bit of a challenge. Obviously, you got to get some of the summer events, as many of the summer events as you can, and you want to try to get we want to try to get most of it done before winter hits. So yes, we think we can get it done. We think we'll probably be on the June ballot, possibly November of next year.
Well, I'm heading to the state fair tomorrow, and so On Wednesday, I expect to see some of your group up there. I don't doubt it one bit. Jared, thanks for coming down the road with us. I really appreciate it.
Yep. Thanks for having me on, Joel.
When we come back, Mark Watne is going to join us. He's president of the North Dakota Farmers Union. Keep coming down the road with us.
Howdy, folks. It's a Caroline Cafe. I reckon it's time you're due for a hearty meal. So saddle up for the day with one of our hay-busting breakfast homemade soups. Fill your grill at a salad bar. Sink your teeth into our famous Caroline burger and barbecue ribs. Top it off with spoon-rattling pie with a cum roll that's sure to put a smile on even the toughest outlaws. Shake the dirt off the boots each night and warm up with the gang. Tell them about it, Stacy.
I can't wait to see you at the county line.
August 7th helped to set the world record for number of paddle craft on the Cheyenne River. Launch from Valley City or Fort Ransom State Park at 10 a.m. Central Time. See all the details and register at hellovalley.com.
Hi, Hunter Ellis here for Night Hero Binoculars by Atomic Beam. These binoculars let you see anything, even in pitch black darkness. Gotcha.
The secrets are powerful wide-angle atomic beam laser that reveals objects up to 150 yards away, hidden by darkness.
During the day, Night Hero gives you 10 times magnification. And when the sun goes down, press the Night Bright button to see clearly in the dark.
Light up garbage-eating critters or spot thieves before they even get close.
Call or click now and get Night Hero Binoculars for just $39.99. Order right now and you can double it. Plus, get our best-selling Atomic Beam flashlight. Just pay a separate fee.
We'll even ship them to you free.
This TV special offer is not available on Amazon. You can get it all, but you have to order now.
Call 1-800-619-1091. That's 1-800-619-1091. Or visit bynighthero.com. That's bynighthero.com. Order now.
Attention, have you or a loved one suffered from maculopathy, a serious retinal injury, after taking the prescription drug Elmiron for interstitial cystitis or bladder pain syndrome? In 2018, a researcher at the Emory School of Medicine linked Elmiron, a prescription drug that treats interstitial cystitis or bladder pain syndrome, to maculopathy, which is sight-threatening and can cause an abrupt change of vision. Call Elmiron Justice for a free legal consultation.
Please call 800-395-5680.
Non-attorney spokesperson. This is a paid advertisement for legal services sponsored by Nightline Legal. Cases assigned on a random basis to participating law firms. This drug remains approved by the FDA. If you or a loved one regularly took Zantac and were later diagnosed with cancer, call right now. You may be entitled to financial compensation. Potential cancers include bladder cancer, colon cancer, kidney cancer, stomach cancer, liver cancer, pancreatic cancer. Do not stop taking a prescribed medication without first consulting with your doctor. Discontinuing a prescribed medication without your doctor's advice can result in injury or death.
Call 1-800-230-9210.
Welcome back to Down the Road. Mark Watne joins us now. He's president of the North Dakota Farmers Union, huge advocate for farmers, ranchers, for those living out in the rural area, and quite frankly, those living in the urban area as well. Many of us have taken advantage of many of the things that Farmers Union presents. Farmers Union insurance, yeah, count me in on that. Not the least of which is a food policy that I take advantage of each and every day we go to the grocery store. So let's bring him in. Mark, good to have you coming down the road with us.
Always appreciate an opportunity to be on your show.
You're getting after the packers, and thank you for that. The monopoly that the meat packers have and what they're doing with the farm economy and the rancher economy. Describe to people what you're doing here.
Well, we're really trying to draw attention to the fact that both sides of this equation, from the rancher to the consumer, is getting shafted. The packers have got control of this market. They don't even show up really to bid on things. They've created an atmosphere where they can pay the rancher little or nothing, and they can absorb all the profits and not share with the consumer. It's just simply wrong. So we got to break them up. We got to get these four packers that own 85% of the marketplace to understand that you can't manipulate the market like you're doing.
Well, it's happening. I mean, it's happening. And there have been people in leadership positions before on a national scale, Democrat, Republican alike, who haven't used the power of their offices to get after these guys. You and I both know what we're paying for a steak at the supermarket. I mean, we do. We know what we're paying for a pound of hamburger, and then we know what the ranchers are getting. And so how those two can correlate, I mean, it's clear what the problem is. What isn't clear is why people in a position of power haven't dealt with it. Why you have to every day, every time try to get that message across. What do you think's happening on a national scale? Is this about lobbying money? What is it about, Mark?
Well, it tends to be about lobbying money. It tends to be about people, having faith in a system that it would be great if the market system would deliver. So people desire that, but it's just not working. So we tend to ignore it till it gets too far gone. And now here we're at the stage where it's so far gone, it's hard to correct. But we have the conversation now. We have the people in place that are having the conversation. We're getting bipartisan conversations. We're hearing executive orders, which carry some weight. They're not perfect, but they're leading agencies to start to investigate more. And we have a legal system now that's starting to rule some in our favor. So the process of fixing this, although you're correct, it's been a long time, is finally turning the corner where I think we can get some action. So it's key we step up the energy and step up the pressure to try to get it done.
When you talk about that, just so people who don't live in your or my world can understand about the packing industry, physically describe it. Show people how it works and how many packers there are.
Well, right now there's 4 packers. 2 of them are owned by foreign countries. One is out of South America and one is out of China. They have 85% of the marketplace, so which basically means they're buying 84 to 85% of everything that's slaughtered. And they don't go to a local, like a Napoleon livestock exchange or a little exchange. They send one buyer. The cattle go there. They're bought on by 1, maybe 2 if you're lucky, 2 buyers in the room. The rest of it, they price, formula pricing. They establish prices. And once they have the ranchers, those locked in, and they're not bidding the marketplace, the price drops down to a level where they can buy them extremely inexpensively. Then they obviously owe everything from that rancher all the way to the consumer. The only thing left really is the retail setting. And the retail setting isn't getting an opportunity to make money on this. That's the price that's coming in. They get their small markup maybe at the grocery store, but this is being totally consumed. 300% earnings going back to the corporate structure that owns this industry. And we got to break that up. We just have no choice.
So, Mark, you're no longer an advocate for the North Dakota ranchers. You're no longer anything other than the king of the world. You get to decide what to do. Do it. Tell people out there watching down the road that if you had that total control, what you would do to fix this.
Well, I'd get the Department of Justice to start going after these folks, and then I would sell them out. I'd break them up, break them into smaller chunks. We'd create processing back at local levels. We'd create opportunity for people to buy more direct from a farmer or ranch, or at least a facility close by. I would come into the state of North Dakota. I would build processing here. I would encourage more feedlots so the ranchers and farmers could grow. Federally, again, take the antitrust laws on. They exist today. Just earlier, I had somebody ask me, well, can that be done? Well, we did it with Ma Bell back in the day. We broke them up. We divided them up. This is not impossible. It was done in the lamb slaughter when it got 40% control. Now we have 84, 85%. And just break them up, get them to sell off, reestablish this system, enhance the inspection system. We have state inspections better than federal inspection. And then last thing is country origin labeling. Make it honest. Make it truth in labeling. Make it work. These folks are leading the people down a path where they believe they're buying U.S. product. The reality is they're buying foreign product that's brought into this country. Make a label that's born, raised, and slaughtered in the U.S. And people can buy what they want.
Okay, so all of that would work. I agree with that, and it needs to happen. Ma Bell being the perfect example of what you're getting at. That being said, do you have the cattlemen? Do you have the ranchers? Because IBAND, RCAF, and the North Dakota Stockmen's Association have very different views on this. the North Dakota Stockmen's Association, who enjoy the checkoff dollars, they seem to support the Packers, which I don't get, Mark. I really don't get, but that's an aside. How do you get the ranchers to agree on a plan like the one you just laid out?
Well, we worked this last summer and in the prior year. We went out to the ranchers themselves. We didn't go right to a Stockmen's Association, for example, and we brought the people in the room and we had the conversations, and then we had those folks speak out some. And you know what? We've got a very good strategy. This stuff that I'm talking about is not from my mind, in a sense. It's coming from the ranchers. So we listen to what they want. Now we're in D.C. We've taken this forward, and we're going to push it forward through the National Farmers Union. We're going to utilize the best talent we can to get this done. But you got to listen to your growers. And you know, the fact that you have 3 cattle organizations is a symptom of a lack of agreement. So you have to pull them back together and hopefully get them to work on it. You know, the NCBA, the checkoff, the cattle industry's really got to rethink that. That checkoff is not functioning as it should. You should never have packers running the checkoff system that's paid by ranchers. Ranchers need to run that fully.
So 2 things I want to throw at you. You know, first off, the state of North Dakota, when they were being treated like crap by the grain industry, by St. Paul, by Minneapolis-St. Paul, said, you know what, we don't got to take it. We're going to use collective dollars from the state of North Dakota, and we're going to start a state mill and elevator. We're going to have a state bank, the North Dakota State Bank. And so here we sit with an example of where our ranchers are being treated like crap, where our ranchers are being taken advantage of, and they can't make money that they deserve to make. North Dakota, this is with a B now, North Dakota has $8 billion in reserve. If North Dakota got behind and built something like the state mill and elevator and built a packing plant, how much would it cost? How many jobs would it provide? And could we succeed if we did build one, Mark?
Well, I really believe we could. I think there's an opportunity here that we have to do along with this work to try to get the packers broken up some. But the state could create a beef slaughtering facility. You could mock it right after the Bank of North Dakota and or the state mill and elevator. It's about $85 million for 600 head a day. We would have to actually grow a feedlots to get to that level. But the numbers are there. We've got a study. We've got some people that understand the business well that have looked at it. And that appears to be the level that would not only create a slaughtering facility that we could serve ourselves, we'd be able to market some, we'd be able to grow our feed industry, and we'd attract rendering into the state, which would help all the smaller plants then survive because they have to deal with the product that's left over. And we want to make all that system more efficient. So this is something that could be done. It could be a public facility or it could be a public-private partnership. We just got to have the will to move forward and get it accomplished.
Well, I hope the ranchers solidify what you're trying to do here, because what you're trying to do is right. It's the right thing to do. So I thank you for taking this challenge on, Mark, and anything you can do to get those ranchers their fair amount of what's going out there in the beef industry is a good thing. So appreciate you coming down the road with us, Mark.
Thank you so much, and we'll keep trying our best.
When we come back, we're going to have Brad Thom on with us. He's president of the FM Redhawks. Let me give you an example, folks. 25 years. 25 years of the Redhawks. Well, is it going to work? I think that debate's over as we continue down the road.
Hey everybody, I'm Doug Billings, your host of The Right Side with Doug Billings on Beck News. We bring you high-profile guests, ladies and gentlemen, exclusive guests. Now, you're not going to see these guests in most of the mainstream media outlets. Another thing that I do here is give guests a platform to speak freely. You're not going to see me censor anybody. Please join us, won't you? Weeknights right here on Beck TV and online at beck.news. Cheers.
Hello, I'm Mike Lindell, and as you know, my passion is to help each and every one of you get the best sleep of your life. That's why I created my new Giza Dreams bed sheets. The first night you sleep on my sheets, you'll never want to sleep on anything else.
Go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen right now to get your very own MyPillow Giza Dream sheets. When you buy one set of sheets, you'll get another set absolutely free.
For the best night's sleep in the whole wide world, visit MyPillow.com.
Introducing the Cool Turtle, the ultra-comfortable mask enhancer that creates a protective, cool, and breathable space between your mask and your face. Simply slide under any mask or gaiter and immediately feel the refreshing pocket of air surrounding your face. Cool Turtle's ergonomically designed, soft, comfortable shell immediately reduces mask friction, allowing you to breathe and talk in a comfortable environment.
I can actually breathe. With the Cool Turtle, no more sweating.
It's like I don't even have a mask on.
Call now and get not one, not two, but 3 Cool Turtles for just $10. Order now and we'll send you 2 more Cool Turtles free. No fees, absolutely free. Plus, you can get a 10-pack of 4-ply face masks. Just pay a separate fee. This offer is not available on Amazon. Get the real Cool Turtle now.
Call 1-800-270-1219. That's 1-800-270-1219. Or visit getcoolturtle.com. Order now.
Seniors, are you aware that you could pay less for your car insurance?
Seniors can save money on their car insurance.
You might save a little, you might save a lot.
Maybe hundreds of dollars a year.
You might save 5% a year, maybe 10%, 15%, or even more.
That's a lot of money. So call right now and find out just how much money you might be able to save.
1-800-699-0761. 1-800-699-0761.
I'm Rick Becker from No Apologies. Welcome to your after-hours oasis of sanity. Watch us weeknights at 9 Central on Beck News and online at beck.news.
Could you do us a favor? Beck TV is a finalist for Best Local TV Station in the Bismarck Tribune's Best of the Best. Vote now through August 9th by text or online. Vote for your leader in local, Beck TV.
There was a debate 26 years ago, maybe 27, as this was all being put together over whether or not Fargo-Moorhead could support a professional baseball team, whether or not people would turn out, whether or not they'd come. You know, this is lakes country here in the East. You know, they head to the lakes a lot in the summertime and sometimes in the middle of the week while they pretend they're working. Yeah, guilty of that myself. The big question is, would they come to the ballpark? Was there enough support for that? That debate's over. It's over. 25 years of the FM Redhawks. That's right, 25 years of the Fargo-Moorhead Redhawks being there for us, for me, my kids, my grandkids. We've loved it, and it continues on. I have the president of the FM Redhawks with me right now, and that's Brad Thom. Brad, good to have you coming down the road with us.
Hey, thanks for having me back. I appreciate it.
How many years have you been involved in the Redhawks?
Since 2002, so 19 plus years now I've been. Actually, you know, I was there the day that they signed the ink. I was working at the radio station, but it was a big deal. My dad wanted me to be there, and I was outside the doors when they were negotiating all the deals. And back then, initially, it was going to be 4 25% owners, and that all ended up blowing up. And then my dad's company at the time, Mid-States Development, came through with the money and said, we got to have this. So, and then I think it was, he retired in 03, and then in 04, you know, Otter Tail subsidiary had owned us, and they're like, what are we going to do with a baseball team? We don't know anything about this. We don't have people who know anything. So they're like, you know, Bruce, do you want to buy it? So he bought it, and the rest is history.
Yeah. And now you're the president.
Yes.
Yes. You, which means you still work. Whenever I go there, you're not sitting in some aloof
Starting
suite.
to get gray hair.
The Redhawks themselves, I mentioned that they've just been so entertaining, and they're ours. You know, describe to people some of those Redhawk baseball players that you brought to Fargo, names they're going to recognize.
Boy, Joe Mathis, you know, you get guys, you know, in our league, it's people from the South or from wherever. That's where 70% of the really good baseball players are south of the Mason-Dixon line just because they get to play 8, 9, 10, 12 months out of the year. You know, we're up here, you don't. You get the diamond in the rough, you know, the Darren Ersteds, the Chris Coasts, those guys, you get those, but they're not near as commonplace as down south. So they're like, Fargo? What? Fargo? Do I want to come to Fargo? But when you get them here, they don't want to leave. You know, and that's what our mantra. It's like, trust me, you're going to love it, and everyone does. I would venture to guess there's 40 or 50 former players that have come here and have planted roots here.
Well, you mentioned Chris Coast. Chris manages this team now. This is a man that played at Concordia, played for you as a Red Hawk, went on to win a World Series.
Played at Fargo South.
Played at Fargo South. Has definite roots here. Went on to, he's got a World Series ring, which, by the way, I got to wear it,
Pretty darn nice.
Well, I knew I was too slow to run out the door with it, so it was going to have to give it back.
It wouldn't last long.
Yeah, it wouldn't last long. But this is a man who knows baseball inside and out. Now he's your manager.
Yeah. We were extremely happy this spring to announce him as our formal full-time manager. Instead of, last year was an interim. Just because we didn't know with COVID what was going on and stuff, so we had named him an interim manager, and he worked out the deal with Concordia College because he still is their head coach as well. And it works out great for him because we do have a player personnel consultant with Jeff Bittiger, who's been with us since 1995. And he does a lot of the scouting for the players, and then when they get him here, Chris has to mold them and manage them, and it works out great.
So in terms of where you play, that was a big part of this as well.
Absolutely.
And the partnership that was formed in where you play. Describe what happened with Newman Outdoor Field.
Yeah, you know, it was a really good public-private partnership. The University System of North Dakota, State of North Dakota, they provided the land on NDSU campus. And then the city came in and they built the structure, the building itself. And then we leased the building from the city. And we ended up, about 6 or 7 years ago, paying off the debt service on the building. So, $4 million that we paid for, and we had actually, it's more than a $4 million building back in the day because the Redhawks had actually put in over $1 million ourselves to get it up to where it needed to be because of cost overruns and what have you back in the day, and they, they didn't have money in the budget to finish off the locker room, so we came through and paid for that. They didn't have money for lights, so we paid for that. So stuff like in the scoreboard, we got 10 years ago now, Redhawks paid for that, the scoreboard. So we do a lot. It's a great partnership with the city. We absolutely love it.
Well, let's talk about that because 25 years is a long time. There's a lot of spoiled Major League Baseball teams that after 25 years say, I need a new stadium. Are we anywhere close to that with Newman Outdoor?
It's showing its age. We do have a plan in place to do some upgrades and stuff like that. Would I say no to one? Absolutely not. But do I love it there? Absolutely. I mean, does it fit us perfectly? Yes. If someday if NDSU would say we can utilize that space in some other area, building more buildings or doing whatever else, and they wanted to get us to move, and we found a better spot, it'd be fine, in Fargo. I think everyone would agree that the growth is more to the south than it is to the north side, but it's a big juggernaut on campus. I mean you have 180 on a normal year, granted COVID, but you have 170 to 180, 90,000 people a summer coming on the campus of NDSU. I mean, it's pretty impressive.
Yeah. Well, been there, done that.
Yeah.
Love it. Absolutely love going to games. You know that. On games when it's at noon, those.
Yep.
I always sneak over, and then I pretend I'm doing work for the radio.
We have one this Thursday.
Yeah, well, and you're going to see me Thursday.
There you go.
I'm going to pop by. In terms of where you go from here, because the Thoms have never just sat on their heels. You've always had plans of where you want to take the Redhawks. Where do you want the Redhawks to be? For example, the league that you're playing in now, it changes all the time. Describe to people the league.
The league, it doesn't change. The structure doesn't really change. We have a lot of the same teams that have played with each other since '96. The Winnipeg Goldeyes, Sioux City Explorers, the Sioux Falls Canaries. Lincoln came in 2000, I think, Lincoln Salt Dogs. So we were playing the same teams, 2002, Gary, South Shore Railcats. So we're playing the same teams. It's just back in, I think it was 2011, the Northern League, some of our teams moved into the American Association just because it fit better in the footprint of where the teams were. You know, there were some Chicago teams, and there was like 3 or 4 left over that tried to make it work, and then they ended up getting absorbed by the Frontier League. So,
well, okay. Here's to me the thing about the Redhawks: family friendly. I mean,
and
it really
affordable.
is. And affordable,
yeah.
right? As long as they don't start feeding those grandkids too much, you know, everything. Actually, that's not that expensive either to buy them a hot dog, but just to take them out, just to see an old-fashioned baseball game and the crack of the bat. I mean, these kids love it.
And what we're noticing is really the redemption rate has been a lot higher this year than in years past, because I think people are buying tickets and are saying, no, we're going. You know, instead of saying
they're so tired of being inside because of COVID.
Absolutely.
Yeah, they want to be outside, man.
Yep. And you know, knock on wood, we haven't had a rain out yet this year. Yeah. You know, I mean, we've averaged
tonight.
over the 25 years. We don't play tonight.
Oh, that's right.
We're off,
that's
so
right.
it's perfect.
Yeah.
But over the 25 years, we've averaged about 1 per year over the course of the 25 years that we have a rain out. So, you know, you buy a ticket, come on out. There's a 99.9% chance we're going to probably play that game, or we're going to work our tails off to get it to work.
Well, it's a great product.
Make it, so.
It really is.
Well,
Brad,
thank you.
25 years. You know, your and my goal has to be not to be having this conversation in 25 more.
Well, hopefully in another year. But we also this weekend have the Fargo Blues Festival.
Tell people about that.
Yeah, so the founder, Dan Burdell, had passed away in January, and the family didn't know what they were going to do with it. And we just loved having the people out at the stadium just because they could take off their shoes and walk in the grass out there. And, you know, it's one place you can find in North Dakota that doesn't have a dandelion.
Yeah.
You know, very few places. And it's just a fun event, and we wanted to make sure we kept it going for the whole valley. And so we ended up buying it in April. And so I had to put together this festival in a period of 2 months. And haven't got much sleep lately, and it's not going to be much this week, but it's a fantastic festival. The entertainment, I think, is as good as it's ever been there.
Tell people the headliners.
Samantha Fish, who's never been to, I believe her promoter said that she's never been in the Dakotas before. She's a fantastic young 30s performer. She's like, Joe Bonamassa said she's like one of the best guitarists ever. I mean, she's up there.
Yeah.
And then John Mayall, who was with the Blues Breakers in the 60s, and he gave Eric Clapton his start. I mean, this dude is the, you know, next to B.B. King, if B.B. King were alive, John Mayall would be number 2. I'd say he's number 1 right now.
Where do they go to get tickets?
You can go to fargoblues.com, or we actually have a different phone number, not the Redhawks, but it's the Fargo Blues phone number is 218-287-7775, or easiest way is just fargoblues.com. We also do have primitive parking that we do on the Fargo Dome west parking lot. So come on out if you're from Bismarck or wherever. Enjoy the weekend.
Go Hawks. Thanks,
Thank you.
Brad. Appreciate it. When we come back, some closing comments for you. Not closing, but just some comments for you about our congressman and NDSCS, and just stick around. We got some things for you.
Hello, I'm Mike Lindell, and as you know, my passion is to help each and every one of you get the best sleep of your life. That's why I created my new Giza Dreams bed sheets. I started by using the world's best cotton called Giza. It's only grown in a region between the Sahara Desert, the Mediterranean Sea, and the Nile River. It's ultra soft and breathable, but extremely durable. My Giza sheets also include full 21-inch wide pillowcases that will fit over any pillow, and deep pocket sheets that will fit over any mattress. The first night you sleep on my sheets, you'll never want to sleep on anything else.
Go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen right now to get your very own MyPillow Giza Dream Sheets. Giza Dream Sheets are available in a variety of colors. Use your promo code, and for a limited time, when you buy one set of sheets, you'll get another set absolutely free.
For the best night's sleep in the whole wide world, visit mypillow.com.
Non-attorney spokesperson. This is a paid advertisement for legal services sponsored by Nightline Legal. Cases assigned on a random basis to participating law firms. This drug remains approved by the FDA. If you or a loved one regularly took Zantac and were later diagnosed with cancer, call right now. You may be entitled to financial compensation. Potential cancers include bladder cancer, colon cancer, kidney cancer, stomach cancer, liver cancer, pancreatic cancer. Do not stop taking a prescribed medication without first consulting with your doctor. Discontinuing a prescribed medication without your doctor's advice can result in injury or death.
Call 1-800-230-9210.
Seniors, are you aware that you could pay less for your car insurance?
Seniors can save money on their car insurance.
You might save a little, you might save a lot.
Maybe hundreds of dollars a year.
You might save 5% a year, maybe 10%, 15%, or even more.
That's a lot of money.
So call right now and find out just how much money you might be able to save.
1-800-699-0761. 1-800-699-0761.
Hi, it's me, Anthony Sullivan. And yes, you've actually caught me at home relaxing because life's been pretty worry-free since I got coverage with American Residential Warranty.
You won't believe what ARW covers. Heating and air conditioning, washers and dryers, kitchen appliances, plumbing, water heaters, electrical systems, flat screens and laptops, even pools and spas, and so much more.
Call American Residential Warranty. They'll get you covered.
1-800-219-1467.
Go for Launch 2018 series winner. Without further ado, it is my honors. Regina. The winning team is the Fleming River Excellence.
Oh my God!
They won!
Okay, I'm going to give you a shocker. One that should just, well, it's gonna just really surprise you. You're going to sit there and go, man, I never saw that coming. Fisher, Sand, and Gravel out of Dickinson, North Dakota. They were chosen as the poster children for building the wall. The wall that was supposed to be paid for by Mexico. Remember that? Donald Trump's wall. We're going to build a wall the whole length of the border between the U.S. and Mexico. We're going to build a wall over 2,000 miles. 2,000 miles. And what did Senator Kevin Cramer do? Well, he brought Fisher, Sand, and Gravel down because they were the premier contractor to get this thing built. And, it was all out there. National media, everywhere you looked, Fishers were seen as, oh, wow, these guys can build a wall. Well, it turns out in some of those places it didn't go so well. Here's the thing about the Rio Grande, for example. Rivers as a whole. They go up, they go down. They go up, and they go down. It turns out a lot of where the wall was built near the Rio Grande ended up being awful doggone close to the Rio Grande where there was soil erosion. But that's an aside. The quality of the work is an aside. What's really being talked about now is the fact that funding was stopped before the Biden administration on the wall. And so what did the Trump administration do? Steve Bannon and others like him. Remember Steve Bannon? He was the one about to be charged, and Donald Trump gave him a pardon because he knew what was going to happen. Steve Bannon, who used the influence of his office to make a buck or two. Well, Steve Bannon went out and he said, we'll do this privately. I'll go get private donors to do this. And basically it turned into, I'll use rough numbers here, a $30 million contract to go to Fishers. Here it is. You guys are good at what you do. You do this, we're going to pay you $30 million. So what do Fishers do? Exactly what you would hope a good walleye does on a good fishing day. They fell for the hook. That's right. Fishers went ahead and they built $30 million or plus of a wall, and they didn't get paid. They're looking for about $15 million back, if not more. Does that surprise you? No, it doesn't surprise me, and I doubt it surprised you. When you start getting into the private industry, building a wall that's supposed to be over 2,000 miles, who on earth you think is going to spend enough private dollars to do that? And then they see the enormity of it. The money we're talking about, folks, I don't think it built 3 miles of wall. 3 miles. Maybe 4. I don't know. But it was that small of an amount of the wall. It's that expensive and that big of a project, which is why some of us said if you're going to build a wall, build it in certain areas, but you're never going to build it all over the place. Well, private industry finally figured that out. Private donors figured it out, and they pulled the pin on the funding. Steve Bannon and others used the money that they did receive to not pay Fishers. And fishers now are going on a national circuit saying we want our money. Well, here's who they should go to advocate on their behalf and get the money. Kevin Kramer. Kevin Kramer used them when times were good. Is Kevin Kramer going to be there to make sure they're made whole when times are bad? Now, do I have a lot of sympathy for Fisher? Nope. They did this all politically. They got active politically. They wrote a bunch of big checks. They did this all in the, hey, you owe me a job here kind of a thing. Well, what ended up happening was everything you and I would have expected would happen. There's another thing I want to talk about in this little bit of time that I have left. I want to talk about NDSCS, the North Dakota State College of Science. John Richmond, the president of that institution, has resigned effective a later date, but he pulled the pin on being president of that campus. Couldn't get along with the State Board of Higher Education. It was by his choice. He wasn't getting canned. He wasn't going to be replaced. They just wanted to embarrass him. That's what it was all about. We need a strong trade and tech industry. And we need someone like that involved in higher education. John Richmond was that guy. John Richmond brought partnerships from the private sector with the public sector, and what we ended up doing is turning out those diesel mechs, those nurses, everything to go with it. Because before him, a president, Sharon Hart, had turned the attempt into liberal arts. That isn't what we need at the North Dakota State College of Science. John Richmond did his job, and he did a good job. And North Dakota is a lesser place for how he was treated by the State Board of Higher Education. I'll give you some closing comments when we come back and end our trip down the road.
Do you worry about going to the dentist? After all, a visit to the dentist can easily cost $2,000 or more. Well, relax. The Carefree Dental Card is now available in your area. Call now and we'll send your actual card at no cost today. With the Carefree Dental Card, you go to the dentist whenever you need and you instantly pay a lot less. Activate your card and you can start using it immediately. From exams and cleanings to more expensive procedures like crowns, dentures, even braces, they're all included with the Carefree Dental Card. Say you go to the dentist today without any card and your bill is, well, ouch. Wait a minute, let's try that again. You go to the dentist today and show your Carefree Dental Card, you save $525. The Carefree Dental Card is just $15.95 a month, so call now and make going to the dentist carefree.
Call 1-800-416-5739 to receive your Carefree Dental Card information kit. 1-800-416-5739. Call now.
I can't say enough good things about these nano hearing aids.
Real people talking about nano hearing aids.
The hearing quality is great.
Until now, hearing aids used to be too expensive for the average person. Until nano. Call now and you'll get your nano hearing aids for only $297. You'll save $100. When you buy one hearing aid, Nano will give you a second hearing aid free. Call right now.
1-800-213-3815.
Spas, etc.
You've come to know and trust us for over 18 years with the largest selection and showroom in Western North Dakota for our beautiful Sundance spas. Plus, you could pick out your next home experience with our selection of pool tables, shuffleboards, and fun accessories.
Spas, etc. Your relaxation destination on Main and Bismarck.
Calling all first responders. Join us Friday, July 30th for First Responders Night at the Bismarck Event Center. The Bucks take on the Green Bay Blizzard with a 6:05 p.m. kickoff and will highlight those who serve and protect our communities. For more information on tickets, please visit bismarckbucks.com. Get your free general admission tickets today.
Attention! Have you or a loved one suffered from maculopathy, a serious retinal injury, after taking the prescription drug Almiron for interstitial cystitis or bladder pain syndrome? In 2018, a researcher at the Emory School of Medicine linked Almiron, a prescription drug that treats interstitial cystitis or bladder pain syndrome, to maculopathy, which is sight-threatening and can cause an abrupt change of vision. Call Almiron Justice for a free legal consultation.
Please call 800-395-5680.
Okay, get your fingers on that keyboard. Get in front of that computer and do the Google, and here's what I want you to check out. The guy's name is Phil Valentine. He does what I do for a living. He's a radio talk show host. And Phil Valentine is an individual that has been an anti-vaxxer. That's right. He hails out of Tennessee, very conservative. That's his thing. He's a very conservative talk show host. He has a number of high-profile supporters. The Oak Ridge Boys, for example. If you do the Google, that's what you're going to find out. But Phil Valentine is right now, as we speak, that anti-vaxxer laying in a hospital struggling for his life. That's right. Phil Valentine is one of the individuals that caught the Delta COVID. He has. He's sick, ladies and gentlemen. And now he's coming out and he's saying, get vaccinated. Wasn't that easy? He had a platform before that. He did. He had the ability to look at people in the eye and say the science shows it. Or say, you know what, I went to see my doctor, and my doctor told me get vaccinated. If he didn't have a doctor that would have told him that, then he was going to the wrong doctor. Because all the things that have been said about COVID are found to be untrue. Women are getting pregnant, right? So this whole infertility argument, women that were pregnant are still having babies. Yeah. It's just a ridiculous argument against it. Now, 48% of America is all that's been vaccinated. 48%. How bad is that? Let me explain why you don't have smallpox. Ready? The vaccine worked. Let me explain why you don't have polio. The vaccine worked. Should I go on? Should I go on? Phil Valentine, while I'm glad he came out for being vaccinated, it took him too long. And now he woke up because of it. People need to get vaccinated. And the South is starting to really have to pay the price because their number is way lower than 48%. It's ridiculous. And because of all this, we're going to end up having to put masks on. And we shouldn't have to do that. We shouldn't. It's been good riding with you folks.
Hello, I'm Mike Lindell, and as you know, my passion is to help each and every one of you get the best sleep of your life. That's why I created my new Giza Dreams bed sheets. I started by using the world's best cotton called Giza. It's only grown in a region between the Sahara Desert, the Mediterranean Sea, and the Nile River. It's ultra soft and breathable, but extremely durable. My Giza sheets also include full 21-inch wide pillowcases that will fit over any pillow and deep pocket sheets that will fit over any mattress. The first night you sleep on my sheets, you'll never want to sleep on anything else.
Go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen right now to get your very own MyPillow Giza Dream Sheets. Giza Dream Sheets are available in a variety of colors. Use your promo code, and for a limited time, when you buy one set of sheets, you'll get another set absolutely free.
For the best night's sleep in the whole wide world, visit my